it's Julie Ziemelis, 365 Hawaii, and also for our podcast and our YouTube channel. And today's host, I am the host. Today's guest is Karl Stump from Top Notch Home Inspections. And Karl comes to us from Tennessee. He's been on the island for a few years. And he started the home inspection service to fill a need that we really have here in Hawaii in terms of all of our, the real estate here. So I want to let you guys know a little bit about Karl. I'm going to let him talk a little bit about himself, and then we're going to jump into why you need to know about his services and how it's going to help you buy homes here in Hawaii. So Karl, tell us a little bit about like how you got here and what's your story, because everyone's got a story when they move to Hawaii.
Sure. I came out here to visit, absolutely loved it. I was a full-time helicopter pilot at the time, doing commercial helicopter work, and nothing sounded better to me than flying tours around one of the most beautiful places on earth. So that's what brought us here. I got a job with Blue Hawaiian. I still fly tours for them part-time. And a few years into flying helicopter tours, I started a handyman business, which led to a home inspection business, and it took off, and I jumped over to home inspection. I was doing part-time, and then I went full-time to home inspection, part-time to helicoptering, and we just, our goal was to add value to the community, and I think that has birthed our success, and we've just taken off from there. So.
Yeah. In fact, I just got to tell you guys that I actually had Top Notch on both sides of a real estate transaction I was in recently, on the listing side and the buyer side, and I had two of his really good guys come out and help. Knowledgeable. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that much about homes until I sat down with each of these guys for like a half an hour talking about condos and single family homes. So one of the things that you offer is obviously home inspections, but also tell them a little bit about like who are you helping here? You're helping the buyers and the sellers with different. We were talking about the opportunity for Karl to give you guys information about when you move here. What are the top things that they should look for in terms of housing in Hawaii that they need to know about?
Yeah, so you're going to find, it depends on where you move on the island, but you're going to find an array of different types of houses. In some of the older parts of the island where we have old sugarcane plantations, you're going to find 80 to 100-year-old homes there that were built in the plantation era. So just a very unique construction style, single wall construction with what a lot of people don't know about. Most houses that we're used to are framed, 2x4 framed walls. These are literally single walls. So it's important to be knowledgeable, to find an inspector that's knowledgeable in these areas so that they can locate the deficiencies in these types of areas. And you get everything from that all the way up to, of course, brand new, multi-million dollar, some of the nicest houses in the country are out here. And we inspect them all. So.
Right. Oh, and speaking of, you cover the entire island.
We cover the entire
and
island.
Maui.
Yep.
And speaking of, you're what's it, 10 different temperate zones of homes.
Yeah.
So you got the rain-soaked homes in Hilo, and then you got the parched ones out here on Westaway, right? So in terms of like what people might not know about when they move to Hawaii, give us a couple of things that they, you see that really are kind of Hawaii specific.
Yeah, so again, very unique place. We're in a place where there's 13 subclimate zones on Earth, and there's 11 of those subclimate zones on this one island. So it's very unique, and from an inspection standpoint, on one hand, we have things easy. On this hand, we have things a little bit more challenging because things are so specific to the type of area that the home is found. So if you go to the wet side of the island, more of the east side, you're going to find a lot of moisture issues, moisture damage, and it's just important to really protect your house over time. You also get erosion can be really prevalent on the foundations there, and then mold growth is a huge one. And it's not so much a bad thing, it's just that in those wetter rainforesty type areas, mold is something that you have to live with in a way. I've had the privilege of living on the wet side of Waimea, and I know what mold is like.
If you guys don't know what he means, it's wet and kind of moldy around there. Yeah.
If you guys need tips too, like you can always use me as a resource and reach out. And if you're buying a home on a specific part of the island, we can talk story about some things that you should be aware of, and that's part of the home inspection process too. Is we're not only there to give you an inspection, but we also want to consult with you. So that would be wet side. Dry side of the island, it's going to be sun damage because we're getting just a massive amount of UV rays at all times. So really, this comes back to home maintenance and just really keeping up with the home. So of course, you're going to find all the issues if you hire a good inspector to come in and buy, and then you need to maintain the home, and maybe we can roll into that.
Yeah. In fact, when I was just talking to Karl about the fact that we recently sold a home in Sunnyvale because Eric's dad passed away, and we basically got the house looked at beforehand, and we found out all these issues because, like, deferred maintenance. So I was asking Carl, I go, what should you hire an inspector before you decide to sell a house, so you can get an idea of what you have to deal with your house? You can get a punch list. And then you told me,
Yeah. So really, the way I see it, in history, you've had two options when it comes to selling your home as far as the inspection side of things go. Option number one is you be proactive and but when you go to sell your house, you get a pre-listing inspection. So this makes you aware of all the things that you're not aware of, which, trust me, there's going to be a lot of things you're not aware of on your home. And you get a punch list, and then you decide which things are most important to increase the value of your home. You take care of those things. The problem with that approach is you're doing it last minute. Everything's piled up over the years that you haven't been aware of. Usually when things are left on a home long term, they get worse. So you're scrambling when you're already in this transitional state of trying to move and sell your home and do all of these things. So that's option one. And option two is don't be proactive at all. Just list the house, get your offer, and then have a buyer come in and do their inspection, get blindsided by a bunch of things you weren't aware of, and then either A, agree to do repairs or discount the price of the home. We have just over the past few months rolled out, because we've been really seeing this problem, and we've rolled out a program called our maintenance membership program. And we're super excited about it because it's a way for people to manage their home over time. And essentially what it is, it's a cheaper price to do this rather than a full home inspection like you would get as a buyer. And we come out on a yearly basis, annually, and basically go through the home, the major items. You get free thermal imaging, which is great for moisture and leak detection, catch stuff early. And then we consult with you, and our reports are very user-friendly. So everything's color-coded, and you essentially consult with your inspector and say, hey, okay, here are the things that you definitely need to take care of within the next year. These things can be pushed out a little bit more, but these things are going to get much worse over time, and you're going to save a lot of money by doing it now versus waiting over time. And that's the idea of it.
Yeah. In fact, I was taking some people up on a neighborhood tour up in the Sunset District up here, and a lot of those houses are suffering from deferred maintenance problems because you have older people who don't know how to take care of their homes. And a lot of times, too, is like we have a couple on our street up here, the jungle is coming over and taking their houses, and that causes all kinds of problems, too. So if you're going to buy an expensive house, which is basically everyone on this island now,
absolutely,
taking care of is important.
Yeah.
And not knowing how to take care of a house almost is like, that's just not... It's not a good investment opportunity to say, you know what, I'm just going to let this thing just kind of go. There's a couple of houses that we're seeing for sale now that they were part-time homes from people, and they basically just didn't do anything. And now, you're discounting prices. So if people were going to try and get like this home maintenance program, is that something you're offering now, or is that something
offering it now?
Right now?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And a lot of people in our group over here are people who are coming to buy now. So let's say they moved in, and they've already just gotten the home inspection because they've just got a clean new house. Sure. So you're saying like maybe contact you now, but then set it up for a year from now.
Yeah. So you want to sign up now because we have limited spots. Obviously, we're limited on our personnel.
Right.
Sign up when you get your general home inspection, and then you're locked in for the next year. And then we do your general home inspection, and then we come out the following year, and then we just continue that on an annual basis, and it works really well. No offense to any sellers, but to be honest, most people do not know how to take care of their homes, and I don't mean any offense to that. We have our life going on, and we have our areas of expertise, right? So if you're a doctor or a nurse or what have you, that's your area of expertise, and that's what you're busy doing with your life. And then you have all the other stuff, your family, and you just we're busy and we're not paying attention to our home, and this is what we do. We do home inspections. We know construction, and it takes years of experience and a lot of training and a lot of certification. And that's what we're here to provide is a service where we can walk you through this stuff and hold your hand and go, this is what needs to happen. Yeah.
Okay, so we had a couple people online. Lance says aloha.
Right on.
And Brad says aloha. Kathy is watching. And Brad says one day it's a wet side, has a wet side and a dry side, like two different worlds,
True.
Of course. And then he went on to say, option 3, if you know well in advance that you plan to leave, have an inspection and then take the time to do the improvements rather than scrabbling it.
Yeah.
Right. And then also, that's why I was talking about the home maintenance option too, is that you don't have to do, 6 months out. Some people might have to leave the island sooner than they thought, and they don't have that option. Right. And all of a sudden they're burying $20,000 or $25,000 into trying to fix their house before they put it on the market. Yeah. And that kind of came out and actually bit us in the butt, was that the market was already starting to kind of go like this. And then all of a sudden now we're trying to do repairs.
Yeah.
And and it's just I love what you're offering people.
Yeah, it's-
and again, my single women friends who are coming out here to move here, it's nice to have somebody basically help you take care of yourself in your home, right? That's
Yeah.
basically what it is. It's kind of like a care program, right?
That's what my mom says. She's like, I need you here to tell me all this stuff. Yeah, and the thing too is that one thing that you have to keep into consideration when you are talking about homes is when it comes to specific repairs, it's not stagnant. A house is a dynamic component with a lot of different parts, and the longer you wait, the more expensive it gets. So even if you wait 6 months before it's time to sell, you could have overlooked things for multiple years, and something that could have been very cheap and easy has now become an extreme expense. Just an example, painting your house. There could once your house starts to peel, it's 3 times the cost. Because now just repainting your house turns into scraping, priming, and painting. And scraping and priming take it's a tremendous. I mean, it's 3 times, right?
Yeah.
It's 3 times the amount of work.
Yeah.
To scrape everything. And
Do you just let me throw this out? And just a question for you. There's a lot of people coming to Hawaii right now to offer pressure washing services.
Yeah,
Does that help your house?
absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
If you, especially on the wet side, if you're keeping microbial growth off, that goes a long way. And then pressure washing the roof, metal roofs specifically, you wouldn't want to pressure wash like an asphalt shingle roof, but pressure washing metal roofs will prolong the life of the roof because you're removing growth, which holds moisture. And when the roof's holding moisture, it's going to degrade faster.
Oh, there we go. Okay. In fact, there's a couple people who are on our list who are just moving into new homes on East Hawaii now, and that would be a good opportunity for you to know that. Also, one thing that's interesting about Hawaii that some people aren't dealing with in the mainland is septic and cesspool.
Yeah, good topic.
Right? And so I just was selling a house that had a septic tank, and I didn't know this because I don't have septic, but they have to put something in there every single month to kind of keep the stuff going. And at the end, the buyers wanted them to pump it out. And that conversation of comes like, you have to, because I didn't know this, you have to pump out a septic tank. Like, how often is that?
People are like set it and forget it with septic tanks, and they couldn't be further from the truth. So just to give you a quick rundown about septic tanks, they really need to be pumped every 3 to 5 years. Obviously, this is dependent on usage. Once you let a septic tank go too long, the sludge and all that nasty stuff that's in the tank can feed into the leach field. And the leach field is responsible for percolating water out, right? And it's a sanitary system. So the tank, in a sense, very simple, but it sanitizes things and then you leach it out. But if you let sludge get into the leach lines, it clogs everything up. And now it can't percolate out. And the leach field is extremely difficult to maintain at all because you've got smaller diameter pipes. It's not like you can just go down there and clean them out.
Yeah.
So you have to pump the septic tank and make sure that you're keeping up with it.
Because the sludge gets into those little lines.
Yeah.
You're basically ruining the
You're
entire
ruining,
system.
yeah.
And
you
how much
really
do you
are.
think that costs to replace?
I mean, to put in a septic tank right now, $15K-ish.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's a deal.
It's a deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
It's
keep that in mind when you're
something to
getting
be aware of.
septic, guys.
Lance has a question. How much for those inspections? This is the I guess we was talking about the
Home inspections?
the annual inspection.
Yeah.
for the-
So right now it's going to depend on square footage. They start out, I think, a little over $300 and work their way up of just shy of $500. And then when you get into the larger, more luxury style homes, we do have custom pricing for that. Once you get into larger homes, you're talking about doubling or tripling all of the components in the home, so prices can definitely get higher. But of course, the more you've invested in the house, the more important it is to continue to invest and maintain that value.
Yeah, and I'll tell you guys, I went to this house and it was a luxury house. It was a really, it's probably about 2,700 square feet. And I asked the inspector. I said, "So I'll be back in about an hour and a half." And he's like, "No, it's gonna take me about 4.5, 5 hours to go." And I'm like, "What, 5 hours? What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, well, I have to test all the electrical outlets. I have to open up all the appliances. I have to go up in the roof. So much stuff in a house. So much stuff."
Yeah.
And so with so we got the septic and the cesspool. And I also found out today, because I heard Karl actually speak in front of the realtors a little bit today, you have resources on your website.
Yes, absolutely. So HawaiiTopNotch.com. There's just a bunch of reasons. We have a blog, so we do have some blog posts there. And we also, probably the best thing to learn about our services is just go to the additional services tab up at the top. It's on the menu. We also have a menu item on top of the website that is for the maintenance membership program. But we have a lot of informative videos where it's basically me on there talking and kind of walking you through the whole thing. But also there's some infomercial type deals or diagrams. So it's pretty informative.
And in fact, that's how I got a chance to talk to you and bring him here on this show, is the fact that one of his inspectors said, "Oh, you do videos? My boss does that too." And so I'm like, oh, a guy who likes to be on video, and the fact that you are so passionate about what you do for a living, it comes across really well in your informational videos. In fact, I might go in there and start pulling some from your library and sticking them on this Facebook
Perfect.
page so people can understand a little bit more about what the home,
Yeah.
maintenance issues are. So, kind of taking the step back here, I want people to get to know you a little bit better. So, in terms of like other things that you're passionate about besides woodworking, inspections, and helicopters, what do you do here while you're having? What do you do for fun?
I love paddleboarding. It's one of my hobbies. I like to go down to. I live in Waikoloa Village. I like to go down to A Bay early in the morning before the sun rises, and I have a boardoodle. It's a poodle border collie mix, and he loves paddleboarding as well.
Oh, so you put him on the board with you?
That's our thing, and yeah, we go out. I have a wife, my wife, and my 13-year-old son. They sometimes get up early enough to join me. But that's just a beautiful place if you guys are looking for a good paddleboarding spot. Getting out there for sunrise, there's nobody ever on that beach. I mean, I literally have it to myself. So it's just a great place to watch sunrise.
I got a chance to be out there by myself during the pandemic. We stayed in those cabins that the Lava Lava Beach Club has. And so we were literally, me and my friends, 3 of us, alone on that entire beach.
Yeah.
And so we went out there on the paddle boards.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. We got a chance to the turtles. And
Yeah. And then hiking is one of my favorite hobbies as well.
Yeah.
Just hiking through the rainforest. What's better than that?
Yeah. So, because we have a few people here also thinking about living in Waikoloa Village. And one of the things I said was the fact that we got a chance to go out and hike the power line trails and then the Alakai trail over on the edges and stuff. So you like living there, yeah?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's very centrally located. It's, it's really a 10-15 minute drive and you're down at the ocean. And then you get the beautiful ocean views from a little bit up, Mauka or up slope a little bit. And then that also makes it a little bit cooler.
Yes.
In the summertime.
Okay, but speaking of that, what kind of wind damage do they sometimes get in homes in Waikoloa?
Not as much as you would think.
Really?
Yeah, we do get roof shingles blowing off quite a bit.
Okay.
That's a common issue. Is that the asphalt shingle roofs, the shingles will tear off if they're not secured down properly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So is there any other questions coming from the peanut gallery, Eric?
Brad put on a link to your website, and then Brad also
He's our helper.
Never heard of a boardle doodle.
A boardoodle, yeah. Yeah, we should.
He's got a link to one there.
Nice. We should. There's actually a lady that breeds them in Kona. Her name's Shawnee.
Yeah.
She's fantastic, and we love the dog. We've had him for 6 years. We should talk cesspools, though. We talked about septic tanks, and I think cesspools are extremely unique to Hawaii. It might be good to go over that.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, we have one on this property, and the Association of Realtors is working on an issue to try and that whole changeover. And so that's actually been discussed on the show before, but not as somebody who actually owns a cesspool. So give us some information about that.
Yeah, cesspool is unique to Hawaii. They don't allow cesspools anymore. It's kind of more of an old school thing. They're less sanitary than a septic tank because things aren't really allowed to break down. They just go straight into the ground. But just think of about a 8 by 8 diameter, 8 feet deep pit and a pipe run to it.
That's what we have in our backyard.
Dumps into the hole and it just percolates out. It's a great place for cesspool. They work well, I'll say that, because we have lava rock. Lava rock's very porous, and it does help it helps all the sewage kind of percolate out, but it's obviously not good for the environment. And eventually everything goes down slope and ends up in the ocean. That's why they say no more cesspools. But if you have a well-functioning cesspool, there's no issues. But you want to make sure it's well-functioning.
Yeah, Mike, how do you know?
Yeah, so one of the services that we offer is sewer scope inspections. And this is something that no other home inspector offered before we started offering it. And we're hoping to make this more of a norm so that people can be informed of this, because you really should know before you buy a house. If your cesspool is not working properly, it's failed, you're gonna have to replace it with a septic tank. You can't repair them. It's against the law now. So
okay. And septic tanks can cost up to $20,000. So
$15K ish. So that's a big expense when you're already buying a home. So that's for us, it's $195 to add that on. We send a camera down the sewer line out to the cesspool, and we can get a pretty good idea in a non-invasive manner to see how well it's functioning. And we're essentially just dropping the camera into this pit and counting feet until we reach either we reach the bottom, which is A+, great, or we reach water and sludge. And there is kind of a standard. If you only drop 2 feet down and you're hitting water, of course we know that there's probably 6 to 8 feet of sludge and water that this thing is holding. It's not percolating out properly. So that's when we start 2 to 3 feet, that's when we start saying maybe you should get this
And I bet
pumped
the,
and
I bet the
inspected
homeowner
further,
just
yeah.
loves that one when you come with
yeah,
that one.
yeah.
It's like, I'm trying to sell this house.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And if you guys don't know, what they're trying to do is get people with cesspools to get at point of sale
Right.
into a septic tank instead. But I also had the luxury of hearing our state senator Drew Canoe talk about the city is trying to get, at least down in that area, maybe a wastewater treatment plant, so that way we can take care of this in a little bit
great.
more, like, so everyone carries the burden,
Yeah.
the tax and bond issue, than trying to do one by one.
Right.
But that's not, it might be down there, but up in this area, if you guys are, the cesspools are like all over this whole island.
Oh, they're all over. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're talking about also tanks, those water tanks.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's more of a problem, or it's an accoutrement from South Kona all the way to Hilo,
Yeah.
right? All the way around the rest of the island. So, I'm sorry. So some people are asking me also, they say, you know what, I want a house out in the middle of kind of not too close to the city, but most of those houses have water catchment tanks. And they sometimes ask, how do we even like take care of those?
Yeah.
You obviously inspect those as well.
I do.
And what do you find when you find that? Some people haven't taken care of them, or
Yeah, I mean, it's all about condition. So a catchment tank is usually a cylinder. It can be made of anything from fiberglass to steel, and then you line it with a liner, and then you really are just putting water in it. You treat it there, or you should be, and then there's a cover that goes over it to keep. You want to keep pests out. You don't want birds pooping in there.
Or rats
It's you're
going
drinking.
in.
It could be it's water you're using in the house. Yeah, you don't want rats going in there. Any of that. You don't want mosquitoes breeding in it. So we're looking at it for condition and functionality, making sure that everything's set up properly, that it's not going to degrade. And then we check all of the plumbing and the pumps and the filtration as well to make sure that there is adequate filtration. We oftentimes will be recommending additional filtration. But yeah, I mean, that we could go on forever on that.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But when you find something wrong with the house, let's say with septic, let's say with that, do you recommend other businesses to help homeowners take care of that issue?
Absolutely. That's something that we're passionate about, and I got asked all the time. We do an inspection. We obviously give all the problems. That's what we do.
Here's
and
your
we're like,
problems.
okay, who's going to
How
fix
you
all these
gonna fix
problems?
them? Exactly.
And we're like, well, there's this guy. So instead of having to divvy this out to each individual client that we service, we have just created a vendors page.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, it's on our website. You can go to
perfect.
that, and we're not incentivized to give these names out because I don't want any conflict of interest. It's really just our clients or agents that we work with or people that we know that have used home improvement vendors that say they've had a good experience. We'll put them on there.
Perfect.
And sometimes we'll say, people call us, be like, hey, that guy, they didn't work out so good. I'm like, okay, we'll take them off. So it's a dynamic page. It's always, but it's all broken down in categories. You got like roofers, plumbers, electricians, and yeah.
Okay, I want you guys to hear this. I get so many questions of people saying, can you recommend a handyman? Can you recommend da-da-da-da-da-da? This is already right now set up in a dynamic area on your website that you can actually tap into if you guys need access to people who can help you with your homes.
Sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's not foolproof. We don't have everybody for every job, but it is a really great place to start. And then you also, if you're buying a house out here, your real estate agent is going to be a great resource.
Right. Well, I found out pretty quickly is that most of the people who have asked to help me with names for handymans and stuff,
Is the real.
well, they're all booked.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of realtors have their own like little, and they don't want them to be overwhelmed.
Right.
So then they kind of keep it close in. Yeah. So.
Yeah, people who are doing that with us are like, I'm not telling anybody about you.
Right, because they don't want to see you overwhelmed.
Yeah.
That's happening with termite inspection services too. Is that you need to get them in there as soon as possible to sell a house.
Right.
And so when you have to wait 3 weeks, it's holding up the entire buying process. So, and that was another thing too I like about what you guys offer is that I called the first day that we got the contract, and you guys set it up, and we had you guys in there within a week.
Yeah, we have a great office staff that is there 7 days a week, 10 hours a day. So it makes it really easy to book. We have an online scheduler. You can call anytime, and we try to streamline the whole process with automated emails to all the parties. Because, a real estate transaction, there's so many moving parts. You got the listing agent, you got the buyer's agent, you got the seller, you got the buyer. There's all these people, you got to bring it all together. And then sometimes you can throw some tenants in there. It just becomes a whole mess. So keeping the communication is key. And then as far as servicing our clients and agents, we give calls to our clients the day before just to go over things like, hey, are there any concerns or any questions that you have, anything you want me to specifically look at? And then afterwards too, I called my client today because I did a nice condo down in Kona, and he was just like, I've never had a home inspector call me after the inspection. They just usually send the report over. This is awesome. I love how you're going over the major items and just telling me what to expect. So that's really the service that we try to provide.
Yeah. In fact, I had my buyer on a video call, and I just set it up, and she just talked directly to him through video.
Yeah, it's great.
And then she said, "Well, I didn't understand something." He said, "Well, let's go look at it again."
Yeah.
And then we went and did a little video thing on stuff. So yeah, just you guys are really cool.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, is there anything that people have asked other questions about home maintenance? Let's see. Oh, I know one you got. Roots.
Roots.
Trees.
Yeah.
That causes lots of problems.
They do cause lots of problems. Yeah, I had a beautiful house up in Kohala Ranch. It was so sad. They just had let these big trees go out of control, and there was probably 3 or 4 around the house, and you're just looking at the damage that it was upheaving things. And yeah, it just, you gotta look around the house and go, what can do what, and just pay attention to what's going on. But vegetation is a huge factor, especially in Hawaii, because things just grow out of control.
Right. In fact, Eric and I, we used to live in Ilimilani, in Waikoloa Village, and those monkey pods.
Yes.
They just tore up the buildings and the asphalt and everything else. And so being aware of that, maybe like one of the things you guys could do is when you walk in, you go, that monkey pod that's only 20 feet tall now, that's going to really cause
That's going to be
problems.
huge, yeah. Yeah, and we do call stuff like that out because we're looking at it. I mean, part of it is obviously talking about what's there, but you want to give helpful hints that keep people out of the woods over time, even though if it's not a deficiency right then and there.
Yeah.
Another thing too, like if you're a homeowner or going to be a homeowner, take care of the roof.
The roof.
The roof. The roof is good for a long period of time. Most roofs last anywhere from 35 to 50 years, but there are penetrations on the roof, and everyone forgets about them, right? There's plumbing vents that come up. If you were to take a bottle of water and turn it upside down, it chugs, right? But if you poke a hole in the top, it goes down really nice. So it's the same principle for your plumbing system in your home. They have vents up on the roof that allow air in so that everything can drain very smoothly down. And those have to be above the roof because obviously it's a plumbing system, drain system, and you could get sewage gases. So that's why those are up on the roof, and they need to be sealed around them because it's a hole in your roof.
Right.
So maintaining any type of penetration points up on the roof is something that's one of the more common issues that
And
we
is
find
that
on
with
home inspection.
like grout, or not grout, but making sure the
Sealant, yeah. So it's going to depend on the type of roof. Like an asphalt shingle roof, they use rubber boots.
No.
But it's always good to provide a redundancy layer of protection. So if you can do sealant and the boot, the sealant protects against moisture, and then the boot protects for the sun. That's usually what I recommend. And then metal roofs, it's the same thing. Sealant, and then put what's called tar foil, which is extremely inexpensive. It's basically, imagine like tin foil with tar on one side.
Yeah.
Yeah. It works
simple.
great. Or you can just slip a boot on it. You don't even need to fasten it because then you're just putting more holes in the roof.
Right.
You're just trying to put a little umbrella over the sealant so it doesn't degrade with the sun.
So I know that roofing people are also in short supply around here sometimes too. Is that something like a handyman can do where you
Absolutely.
don't have to have that? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's probably one of the biggest shortages that I hear of is roofing professionals because roofers want to put new roofs on.
Right.
They
make a
don't
lot of
want to
money.
go around doing little repairs. And yeah, they're making more money doing
Right.
that. So.
And we found that about gutters too now. Trying to get someone to come out and service your gutter.
Yeah,
Because they want to put new gutter systems on. They don't want to have to put one little
Yeah,
thing
it's
on
more
there.
lucrative. I understand, but
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. Handyman can easily do penetrations.
There we
Solar hot water heaters are super prevalent on the island, and those have pipes that run the water back and forth to the solar panels that are usually mounted up on the roof. So not only the mounts, but the pipe penetrations that come through the roof, those have to be sealed on a regular basis. And I would say every 2 to 3 years, check them.
Yeah? Okay. That's good stuff. So you guys just got a whole bunch of information about home maintenance. In fact, all of you who are selling your houses on the mainland, you guys are going to have to get home inspections as well. So you might want to start checking this stuff on your houses too.
Yeah.
So how do people learn more about how to get a hold of you and your services and all that stuff?
Yeah, visit our website. That's a great resource, as we already talked about. That's hawaiitopnotch.com. And then please follow us on Instagram because I try to put informative videos on there for homeowners. We also talk about home issues, potential things, and it might just jog your brain, or you might get a helpful hint that helps you fix a problem that you're currently dealing with. So that is homeinspector_Hawaii.
Beautiful.
On Instagram.
People. And you can send those helpful videos to your adult children all over the country.
Yeah, have them come and help you out. Is that right? Yeah.
Well, and also a lot of this stuff is stuff that young people are buying houses and they don't know how to take
That's
care of
very
houses.
true, yeah.
Right? I learned that when I had to buy a car. No one taught me how to take care of a car. They said, here, go drive it around. And one of the first things I did was blow the engine.
Yeah, I mean, and that really is our passion, is helping people with their homes, because people need help with their homes. It's just you're not educated on how to maintain a home. It's
Right,
just the
you're
truth
not.
of it.
Yeah. So we're going to help you guys.
Yeah.
So Eric's got somebody else who has a question.
Yeah, Lance said great information, great service, and Brad says he's taking notes.
Right on.
Oh man,
Thanks, guys.
he's our smart guy in the thing. So also Lance Bond is going to come and he owns a condo up in Waikoloa, and he's going to try and buy a single family home here too. So so good stuff. So for those of you on YouTube, if you had been part of my 365 Ohana, you could have been asking questions as well. If you want to join the Ohana, please go to Move to Hawaii 365 and join the Ohana. Also, if you want to learn more about buying houses on the island, I did write the book Insider's Guide to Buying Real Estate on the Big Island of Hawaii, and I do talk about cesspools. I wish I had more in here about home inspection. Maybe when I update this, I'll get some information from you,
Yeah,
give you credit
version
for
2.
it. There you go. And then also I have my How to Move to Kona book. Don't forget it. And if you buy all 3, you get my memoir as well. And I'll put that information down below as well. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you guys, again, want to reach him, I'll put the information about Karl's contact information and his website in the description below on both the podcast and the YouTube video.
Thanks so much, Julie.
Thank you.
Aloha.
Aloha.